I'm Petty Officer Carrie Matson. This week on Navy Marine Corps News, the first Seaman-to-Admiral graduates assume their new role as ensigns. Trying to keep track of time, the Naval Observatory keeps time for the entire fleet. And sailors and Marines hoop it up in Hawaii. Join me and Chief Petty Officer Herb Josie at the Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. for these stories and more on Navy Marine Corps News.
This week on Navy Marine Corps News, the first Seaman-to-Admiral graduates assume their new role as ensigns. Trying to keep track of time, the Naval Observatory keeps time for the entire fleet. And sailors and Marines hoop it up in Hawaii. Join us for these stories and more next on Navy Marine Corps News. Welcome to Navy Marine Corps News. I'm Chief Petty Officer Herb Josie.
And I'm Petty Officer Carrie Matson. We're here on the historic grounds of the Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C., and specifically, we're in front of the observatory's largest telescope. Now, Chief, a lot of things happen right here that affect the lives of sailors across the fleet. We're going to tell you how.
And a lot of good news there. But before we do that, we'll take you down to Pensacola, Florida, where 14 weeks ago, the first sailors to participate in the Seaman-to-Admiral program entered Officer Candidate School. How'd they do? What did they have to go through? Let's take a look. 14 weeks of marching, drill instructors, and intense physical training finally paid off for the 43 Seaman-to-Admiral candidates.
I feel absolutely fantastic. It's probably the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
I thought, and I still think, that people should have an opportunity to truly excel and be all they can be, even if they don't get a perfect or traditional start.
And now that they have the chance, how high do they think they'll go?
At least 1 star.
They've been called the best of the best. They were picked from 2,000 applicants to go to the Seaman-to-Admiral program, but they couldn't get those ensign bars unless they survived here at Officer Candidate School, an experience most commonly described as
Intense. This is, compared to boot camp, this is about tenfold.
I couldn't believe the intensity that a drill instructor brings to training.
You better wake the heck up.
We went through boot camp as enlisted, and we had chiefs and all, but now we have chiefs and Marine Corps drill instructors, so that makes it that much more intense.
Tatiana Pickett found out about intensity when she first arrived at OCS.
I'm going to give you a rundown on a few things that's going on here before you go over Officer Candidate School, okay? I'm the last smiling face you're going to see here for a long time. I'm the nice guy.
I'm really just ready to get it all over with, to tell you the truth. I was just bursting with anticipation, not knowing what to expect.
All right, sir, I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you.
Another intense concept at OCS is teamwork. These candidates are giving up time they could be spending on Liberty, their first Liberty in 8 weeks at OCS, to help classmates get ready for a big inspection. One thing a candidate learns early at OCS is there is no I, only teams.
It'd be impossible to get through Officer Candidate School without working together. Just if someone tried to shine their shoes, do their brass, just study by themselves, they would never make it.
Even eating a meal is an intense ordeal. Everything from sitting down to actually eating without looking at the food is a highly disciplined ritual, but for a reason.
It teaches you to pay attention to detail, which is another key element here. And
that's the reason why they square their meals, they square their beverages when they pick them up and drink them.
The whole premise of Officer Candidate School is to create leaders. So who's best qualified to teach leadership to a junior officer? A Chief Petty Officer. So the class chief teaches the candidates the Navy leadership traits they'll need to know as ensigns in the fleet. Now, OCS wouldn't be OCS without some good old up at the crack of dawn physical training. Of course, these candidates will be put in great physical condition by PT, but most importantly, it reinforces everything they learned throughout OCS. What does it all mean? All the PT, the chow rituals, the aye sirs, the intensity. Why is it necessary to push candidates to their limits? Maybe to save lives out in the fleet.
There's a method to the madness. In the beginning, no, all you see is madness. Why are we doing this here? As time goes on and as you progress through the program, everything starts coming together.
And when it does, When the individuals turn into a team, able to handle anything that's thrown at them, then they're ready for their first salute and a job out in the fleet. Talk about a motivating experience. Those drill instructors, they're really intense as they're talking to the candidates and instructing them. And, you know, I found many times it made me want to kind of yell, "Aye, sir," to everybody else.
But did it make you want to sign up? That's the question.
We won't talk about that. If you're interested in signing up for OCS, though, contact your command career counselor. They can give you all the details.
Well, you know, just a few miles from where we're sitting now, a Marine colonel risked his life to save another one.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Everybody's talking about it, but despite all the attention, the colonel says it was just part of being a Marine. Petty Officer Bill Miles has the story.
This baby would not be alive today if it wasn't for this Marine, Colonel Richard Willett. He's the Navy's Assistant Judge Advocate General for Military Justice. He's also a hero.
Colonel Willett, thank God that you were there. Without you, Mrs. Gamble and Courtney faced certain death. You gave both of them hope, and one of them life.
The colonel was jogging down this road when a car veered out of control and plunged into the river right before his eyes.
Within seconds, totally disregarding his personal safety and placing his life in peril, Colonel Willett jumped into the swift-moving river in an attempt to rescue any occupants of the automobile. After repeatedly diving underwater into the crushed passenger compartment, he located an unconscious pregnant woman and pulled her to safety.
That woman was Lila Gamble, and although she later died at this hospital, the baby girl she was pregnant with was saved. For his actions, Colonel Willett received the Navy Marine Corps Medal. The colonel wasn't the only hero. This cab driver also helped.
If I had to be on anyone's team, I'd definitely be on his team. On a scale from 0 to 10, he's a 10. This is an individual that didn't give up. He stayed right with the ship. He would be the last person to leave that ship.
The baby's father and brother were also at the ceremony.
I couldn't appreciate both of them enough for what they did, you know, to risk their lives to jump to Anacostia to save my wife. Even though my wife is not here, I'm happy to have a daughter that's going to remind me of her.
They did their best to save both of them.
Is it a good thing?
Yes.
Why?
Because if it wasn't for them, both of them would have died.
So, Colonel, how does it feel to be able to save a life?
Well, I'm glad that circumstances were such that I was able to get into the vehicle, pull Mrs. Gamble from the vehicle, and get her to the surface so that she was able to at least have a chance to survive. I'm glad that Courtney was born and the C-section work. Unfortunately, Mrs. Gamble didn't make it, and that does add a negative impact to the matter. But I'm glad Courtney survived and is thriving.
She weighed only 3.5 pounds when she was born. Now she weighs a healthy 6 pounds 2 ounces, and for now lives with her grandparents in South Carolina because her father works nights.
There won't be a day that won't go by that I won't think of her. And with regard to her birthday, I think it's kind of a day you'll always remember. May 11th will be a day that I'll remember, and I expect to keep a lively correspondence with this child through the years and hopefully see how she's doing as the years progress.
And in turn, the Gambles will also remember the Marine who made life possible for Courtney. Petty Officer Bill Miles, Navy Marine Corps News.
You know, Chief, one thing I got used to in boot camp, besides doing push-ups, I think all sailors and Marines after that are used to standing in lines.
Standing in lines for everything, haircuts, medical, especially food, I think, is the big thing.
Right, that's one line we still stand in is the chow line, but when there's award-winning food at the other end, it is well worth the wait. The Navy's Ney Awards and the Marine Corps Hill Awards recognize outstanding food service. 12 awards were presented to ships and shore commands around the world.
We serve good chow, so I'm glad we won. I'm proud.
They have this awesome macaroni and cheese. You should try it. Man, it's awesome.
You can try the famous mac and cheese and many other dishes at Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego. They took the Hill Award for Best Mess Hall.
Well, I've eaten in about, I don't know how many different mess halls I've been to. I've been on naval bases, Air Force bases, and to me, this has been one of the best mess halls I've eaten in my 18-year career.
In the aircraft carrier category, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower came out on top. Mess specialists on board the Ike say a good attitude is a key ingredient in their recipe for success.
You have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to love it. If not, you won't be good at this or anything else. And
You know, we're in the people business, and you have to be people-oriented, and if you're not, this is not a job for you.
Even though the Ney and Hill Awards come around once a year, the award-winning effort is there all the time.
Every day is a Ney Award day for us. I mean, we don't try to start 2 months out to prepare for a Ney WPT Hill Award. We do it every single day.
Apparently, the sailors and Marines who staff the mess halls and galleys of the Navy and Marine Corps know that the way to their fellow servicemen and women is through their stomachs.
We want to make it as pleasant for them and enjoyable for them as possible. The better they enjoy their food at this mess hall 620, the better work they'll do for the Marine Corps.
Now here's a look at the rest of the winners. See, it's true what they say. There's 3 things you don't mess with: mail, pay, and food.
That's because we sailors, we like to eat. That's
yes,
why.
Yeah, well.
When we come back, how does the Naval Observatory work its way into your daily life? Stay tuned and find out. I think you'll be surprised.
And how do sailors and Marines get what they need to fight anywhere in the world at a moment's notice? We'll show you how the Military Sealift Command makes that possible.
Stay with us.
To stop drug use, I think it's going to take more than a Just Say No campaign. It's so easy to tell somebody, just say no, but you've got to give them the power to say no. You have to decide whether to compromise yourself or not. You have to decide whether you're going to help people or whether you're going to hurt people. You have to decide, what's important to you. Where are your priorities? I'm no stronger than the next guy. I've got to be able to make wise decisions in my own life and know that that's what I want to do.
Oh, sorry. Welcome back to Navy Marine Corps News at the Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. I got a little caught up in the action here.
We're in the main lobby of the observatory here.
This telescope right here, there's only 8 of them like it in the whole world. Just learned that a few minutes ago. And this one was built in the 1800s. Now, since 1830, the Naval Observatory has been providing vital information not only to the Navy but to mariners worldwide on how to guide their ships safely.
That's right. You QMs and other bridge watchers out there are probably familiar with this book. It's the Nautical Almanac, and it charts the positions of the moon, the stars, the planets, and all of that. And all that stuff is computed right here.
But that's only part of the mission here, the astronomy side of the house at the Naval Observatory. They're also responsible for the one thing that governs the lives of sailors and Marines all over, and that is time. Petty Officer Mark Kane tells us how the observatory accomplishes its mission of being the nation's timekeeper.
Time. It has always played a huge role in planning military operations.
Let's see, it's 0400. That means we'll hit the drop zone around a little after sunrise.
And no matter who you are or where you go, you can't get away from it.
The following will be a time check conducted from the pilot house. On my mark, the time will be
1340. 1 minute standby.
Sounds familiar, huh? Well, when your ship calls out the time over the 1MC, this is where they get it.
U.S. Naval Observatory Master Clock. At the tone, Eastern Daylight Time. 17 hours, 44 minutes, 15 seconds.
This is where the United States gets its time, at the Naval Observatory's Master Clock. Now, the clock keeps its time by averaging 60 or 70 atomic clocks. Now, when you're thinking atomic, it's not exactly what you might think. Now, the name actually comes from the fact that the clock keeps its time from measuring the movements of atoms.
An atomic clock is an instrument that we use to keep very precise time. It's accurate to within several billionths of a second per day.
And those fractions of a second count, especially when it comes to navigation at sea.
Well, what's the difference of being off a second, half a second? Well, when you equate that to latitude and longitude, that adds up to a degree here, a degree there, and you may end up someplace you really don't want to be.
But keeping sailors on the right course is what the observatory does best. If electronic navigation, like the global positioning system, fails, sailors would be forced to use other means to find their way.
If the lights go out, you can still walk out on a bridge wing with a stopwatch, a sextant, a piece of paper and pencil, and you can do the basic calculations and figure out where you are in the world.
But those pieces of equipment are useless without almanacs and star charts compiled by astronomers here.
And at the Naval Observatory, using telescopes like this, we can determine those motions, predict the positions, and provide that back to the sailor so he can determine his location on the sea.
If you think this information is only for quartermasters and navigators, think again.
This office has produced the sunrise-sunset charts for every major command throughout the United States Navy.
Every sailor or Marine that's ever hauled down the flag at the end of the day has used these charts to figure out the exact time the ensign comes down. Time touches all our lives, and the Naval Observatory will continue watching the stars to keep the fleet running like clockwork. Petty Officer Mark Kane, U.S. Naval Observatory.
So, you know, that story makes me feel good because I actually was not late for work last week. According to the atomic clock, I was okay.
Don't even try it, all right? You go by the clock at work. We don't go by the atomic clock.
Well,
we're going to go back and reset
when we
all the
go
clocks
back
at work.
today, I'll change them all.
Likely story, likely story. Well, you know, one of the groups that uses the information like time that the observatory puts out are the group of ships belonging to the Military Sealift Command. Now, they participated in Exercise Freedom Banner 95, and as Petty Officer Paul Slocum tells us, it demonstrated the Military Sealift Command's capability to deploy quickly anywhere in the world.
A huge percentage, probably like 1/3 of the Marine Corps' combat equipment is sitting on MPF squadrons.
Maritime pre-positioning ships carry in the big stuff: trucks, tanks, armored assault vehicles. During a crisis, these offloads take place at secured areas not far from the battle zone. This is where the big equipment is paired with Marines who'll use them. Whether by pierside delivery or in-stream offloading, 1,400 vehicles can be on the spot within 7 to 14 days, anywhere in the world.
It's hard, you know, but someone's got to do it.
But it gives a new slant to another side of the Navy team of coming ashore and moving this here and then marrying it up with a combat team. And that needs practicing. We found that it works real well. Makes a great team.
Part of Military Sealift Command's fleet, MPF ships carry the goods so Marines can put them on target. Petty Officer Paul Slocum, Pohang, Republic of Korea.
You know, Chief, another exercise recently brought Navy and Marine forces together from all over the East Coast. It was really this year's largest training exercise.
Now, viewers always want to know what sailors and Marines are doing, particularly when what they're doing prepares them for real-world situations. Reporter Cy Bolton of WAVY-TV in Norfolk reports on how this exercise will prepare command for the real thing.
And that's this week's Focus on the Fleet. Focus.
Get it.
At the time the Navy dispatches these Marines from the USS Shreveport, SEAL teams have already landed and scouted the hostile North Carolina coast. As they proceed, this unmanned aerial vehicle will take pictures of the target areas and transfer them back to one of several command centers at sea.
This does not have the flavor of landing across the beaches at Iwo Jima. We have progressed beyond that with the technology and the capabilities that we have.
Command leaders say the mission could be a training exercise for what could play out off the coast of Bosnia, where many of these ships and Marines will soon be deployed. That suits pilots on the America just fine.
Half of the guys in my squadron made the last deployment, so a lot of us have seen the Bosnian theater. A lot of this has some applicability.
With a night vision camera, we ride with a special warfare team out of Little Creek, which escorts a load of Marines to their landing zone. It's not long before Camp Lejeune personnel, posing as the enemy, are spotted. This skirmish is followed by a small boat attack a short time later. Finally, the Special Warfare Team puts the Marines on solid ground and helps offload a couple of tanks, all in the dead of night.
I think they did fantastic. This was an unforeseen event. Unforeseen events is in fact what we trained for.
As dawn breaks, more equipment comes ashore, and the invasion, on however small a scale, begins to take shape.
Now, while all this was going on, the Air Force was flying sortie after sortie over the battlefield to protect it. And the Army dropped 500 paratroopers near a local airstrip to take it. Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, all working together under one command.
At Camp Lejeune, I'm Cy Bolton, Wavy News 10.
Thanks to reporter Cy Bolton and WAVY-TV in Norfolk for providing that story.
When we come back, summertime is a great time to hit the bike trail. We'll show you how to do it safely.
And sailors and Marines hooping up in Hawaii.
My kind of thing. Stay with us.
At the Tone, Eastern Daylight Time, 11 hours, 8 minutes, 40 seconds.
Miranda, what you doing today?
Cleaning my masks.
What you doing?
Cleaning my glasses.
If you don't stop your friend from driving drunk, who will?
Now what you doing?
Do whatever it takes.
Welcome back to Navy Marine Corps News. We're in the library now here at the Naval Observatory. You know, Chief, this is the best astronomy library in the United States. They have over 75,000 books here.
And a lot of those books are very, very old.
Older than you, Chief.
Which is taking some doing, I tell you. You got Isaac Newton here. This book was written in 1744, a very famous scientist. I also have a book here by Copernicus, written in 1566, over 400 years old.
This looks kind of familiar.
We've seen this before. This is the forerunner of the Nautical Almanac we showed you earlier, written by Johann Kepler in 1629. Now, this is summertime, of course, and kids have gotten a break from the books.
In Rota, Spain, some kids actually, they're getting to do something that their friends stateside always get to do, thanks to a new program and some adventurous and brave college students. They're going to go to camp this summer. Petty Officer Brian Brooks has the story.
Summer camp, something kids and parents alike look forward to every year. For kids, camp is a time to be with friends. For parents, it's a child care program that goes way beyond babysitting. At least that's the intention of Camp Adventure at Naval Station Rota. Over 600 college students from several stateside universities have been turned into camp counselors this summer. They've been sent out around the globe to U.S. military installations for the purpose of holding summer camp for kids who might not have gotten one otherwise.
We try and build a lot of cooperation and teamwork activities. Knowing that 85 children in a camp, they're going to need to work together to be successful.
Kids are offered everything from sports to arts and crafts. They also get hands-on experience with creating skits and songs to be performed for parents and guests. Rota's youth program sponsors Camp Adventure. Youth Programs is a division of the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Department. It's possibly the youth program facilitators who look forward to summer camp more than anyone.
It's the best way to spend the summer. You know, we get to go swimming, we get to play with kids, we get to go on the field trips also. We get to come and visit the community here in Rota and get a little bit out in Spain. It's the best of both worlds for the summer, I think.
What does everyone think of Camp Adventure?
Reporting for Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Brian Brooks.
Well, another popular summertime activity is cycling. If you've looked around the area you live, I'm sure you've noticed more sailors and Marines are getting around by bike.
That's right, but it's important to know the rules and to have the right safety gear before you hit the road. Petty Officer Tom Crydell has some news you can use to keep your bike on happy trails.
While cycling is fun, not to mention great exercise, safety should be the main thing on a rider's mind. And when it comes to safety, remember, use your head.
But that's the most important thing when you're riding a bike, is this helmet, because you're out there in traffic, you're out there with hazards in the road, there could be rocks or little small ruts in the road bike can trip over, and your helmet is going to save you if you fall.
When buying a helmet, it's important to find the one that's right for you. It needs to fit and provide protection.
But one of the things you want to look for is that it has been tested and approved by an organization that tests helmets. There are 3 organizations, SNELL, ASTM, and ANSI, that do it right now.
Along with wearing a helmet, the right clothes are equally important. Bright colors work best with reflective gear if it's dark. Cyclists should also make sure their clothes won't get caught in the sprocket or chain.
Well, now that you're wearing your helmet and you're wearing the right clothes, you're not quite ready to go bike riding yet. First, you want to safety check your bike.
First thing, of course, you want to check is your tires. Make sure you got good, adequate tire pressure. This gives you good speed, also gives you good braking. You have to make sure that your brakes are tight, okay, and not loose, so that you get adequate braking power.
Many cyclists don't realize they need to follow the same rules as the cars they share the road with. And remember, you're riding a bike that weighs about 20 pounds, with cars that weigh over 2,000. In a collision, you'd lose.
First of all, one of the main rules is wear a helmet, because it's the safest thing on the bicycle, as well as obeying the stop signs, staying on the right-hand side of the road, using hand signals. Those are real nice to use, as well as be courteous. Be courteous to the people around you, the motorists, the people walking, you know, that sort of thing.
For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Tom Kreidel, Norfolk.
That's good gouge there, and Petty Officer Johnson should know what he's talking about. He was the 1994 winner at the Armed Forces National Championships. He won the gold medal there, and this year he brought home the silver medal.
Well, if you'd like to know more about bike safety, your base security office probably has a program in place, so go ahead and call them and they'll give you all the details.
Now, of course, cycling may be a favorite sport for a lot of sailors and Marines out there, but of course my favorite is basketball, and in Hawaii they've been hooping it up like crazy. Let's go out there and check out all the action.
Sailors and Marines from all over Hawaii came together for the Hoop It Up tournament in Pearl Harbor.
Basketball is big in the military. It's big in the Navy, and these guys, and I say guys generically, the men and the women of the military just love to play and they love to compete. This will go on, and it's not going to stop.
Participants got a chance to test their skills against other 3-man teams to find out who was the best.
I think I'm just as good as the rest of them. So it's good. You can find out how good you are compared to your peers.
I think it's good experience to help me pick up my game and to learn to play well with others.
Kids of all ages got a chance to shoot around, but the real competition was on the court. And just who were the best in this year's Hoop It Up tournament in Hawaii? Well, here they are. With all the fun and excitement on the court, it was hard to see the day come to an end. Petty Officer Clint Robertson, Navy Marine Corps News.
Talk about heaven. Hoops all the time. I mean, that's just great. I could do that every day, 365 days a year.
You know, unfortunately, Chief, you already have a job.
Yeah, but you don't think they could take me? I could do a pro job.
Go pro.
Yeah, sign me up, somebody. I'm starving. We hope you enjoyed our show this week from the Naval Observatory in Washington. We enjoyed bringing it to you.
In the coming weeks, we're going to keep you posted on what's happening in the Adriatic as sailors and Marines prepare to answer the call off the coast of Bosnia.
And if you're a sailor on a ship at sea, we'll show you how to keep in touch with your family and friends back home.
Of course, we want to know what you think of the show and what you want to see, so go ahead and call or email our feedback line. The number and the address is coming up at the end of the show.
We'll leave you this week with another look at the Seaman-to-Admiral graduates and what they went through at OCS, shot and edited by Petty Officer Andrea Moore.
Have a great week.
Thank you.